Hello and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, your go-to place for everything Rocket League with your hosts, K-Cube, AJ Binky, and Red. So lean forward, lock in, and get ready to go Boost Over Ball.
Hello and welcome back to the Boost Over Ball podcast. To listeners new and old, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Kyle, K-Cube, and I'm joined by Red. What's up?
What's up?
Another day, another episode talking about some Rocket League, but the only caveat being this time we're even closer to Worlds.
And we have news. We have stuff to talk about.
We certainly do. So before we jump right into everything about what we're talking about, this episode will go live the 29th of August. Our next episode, which I believe will be the World Championship preview, now that everything is set, a little bit of spoilers there, but the 5th will be the World Championship preview. And then we'll have one more episode that will go live the 12th before the World Championships officially kick off. So that will be kind of talking about some news, some stuff around the scene. But I don't know that there will be much like RLCS related news then. So that we'll be talking about some other stuff, maybe even an interview before then. Who knows? But for today's episode, we will be reviewing the Esports World Cup, checking how our predictions fared, what happened, our thoughts, and more. Then we'll be talking about that 16th World Championship spot. Yes, that same spot. It is now final. The book is closed. The ink is dried. The I's are dotted. The T's are crossed. We now have our 16th team. We have a conclusion to that ongoing saga, and we will finish off with overtime. So a lot to talk about in since last episode, but let's just kick it off with the Esports World Cup. You want to give us a rundown on who qualified through to the playoffs from each group?
Absolutely. So going through the groups for qualifications, in Group A, G2 Stride qualifies into uppers, while BDS qualifies into lowers. Group B, Falcons qualify in uppers, while Gen G qualifies into lowers. Group C, Vitality qualifies into uppers, Furia qualifying into lowers, and Group D, SSG qualifying into uppers, and Chiefs qualifying into lowers. Keiki, what do you think? What's your any takeaways from those groups results? Any some big surprises, notable names?
Yes. So first off, qualifying for uppers just meaning they did not drop a game. Qualifying through lowers means they lost once. So BDS getting swept by G2 I thought was kind of an interesting result. I don't know that I expected it to be a perfect sweep, especially without beast mode. But G2 looked good in the groups. Falcon sweeping Gen G, another result that I don't know that I fully expected, but everything else for groups A through C kind of went as expected, as we predicted. But Group D, you can only avoid it for so long. Holy shit, what happened to Gentlemates?
Yeah, I guess the lamp buff's over. I don't know. That was probably the worst we've seen Gentlemates perform in a long time, since probably there was that EU regional that they struggled in. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Yeah,
but like since that regional, that was the worst we've seen them play ever. And not to take away from the wins of Chiefs beating Gentlemates, but like this is a well-rounded roster of Gentlemates facing a Chiefs roster, which at that point had been playing together for what,
couple weeks. Yeah.
Like you just, and it wasn't close either. I mean, oh man, I don't know what happened. Hopefully they can figure their stuff out for Worlds in time. But props to Chiefs that they are bringing back Oceania. They're giving OCE some hope. I know CJ is probably pretty proud of what happened, and hopefully there's more to come from there.
Yeah, so I mean, they were talking about on the desk, right? And the playstyle that Chiefs brought to the table is kind of a counter to the way that Gentlemates likes to play, which is suffocating, very efficient rotations, like, midfield boost starving. But, Joria's played fantastically. Like, he looked like, prime Joria's. Hunter and Kaka had fantastic tournaments. I mean, a 3-2 result over Gentlemates is a fantastic result. Then, they almost are able to reverse sweep Space Station to qualify, through uppers, but they didn't. But so they dropped down for a rematch against Gentle Mates, and you kind of figure, okay, well maybe this is where the Cinderella run ends. But no, they straight sweep Gentle Mates. All but one of them being a one goal game. Cole and Stumpy on the cast on that one, they were fantastic as always, but a very surprising result from Chiefs. Certainly good to see. They are not a team that we will be seeing at the World Championships, but it was talked about before the Esports World Cup that Jorius was visiting his brother in Australia and would be competing with Chiefs on this one. Maybe this is potentially something that Chiefs looks to make a permanent thing, because they certainly performed well better than most people anticipated in groups. Still not quite there against a tough draw against G2, but a fantastic showing for Chiefs.
Absolutely, and I gotta say, it's a nice change of pace to see Oceania making moves and doing well.
Yeah, a top
And
8.
It felt like Oceania's just kind of passed around their mid-tier players for the last couple of seasons, so it's good to see them start making some moves to improve.
Yeah.
So I would love it if that turns into a long time thing for them. I think it would bring a nice breath of fresh air over there, and could see Oceania get back into talks of being a major region.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's interesting to see, especially them take down Gentle Mates, a team that everyone kind of figured, oh, it's a LAN, like they got the LAN buff, like they'll make top 4. But I mean, Chiefs made pretty quick work of them. They beat them by a game score of 6-2 across 2 series, and they looked fantastic doing so. So congratulations to OCE and to Chiefs for a top 8. Certainly something that I did not have in my bingo cards for this event, but I can't say enough good things about how well they played. And even though they do get swept by G2, I thought that they looked competitive in all of those games. So certainly a good step in the right direction for them as they continue to try and improve upon their results from the regular season.
Absolutely. Another talking point, though, from those group stages, Twisted Minds, obviously, with their newfound member, Nuepo, end up taking 2 games off of Furia within their group. So they got it close. They were very close to making it out of their group stage there. And the fact that they're able to go toe-to-toe with Furia for that spot is a good sign for the MENA 2 or the soon-to-be MENA 2 seed, most likely. However, definitely have some work to do from that Twisted Mind squad.
They certainly do. I mean, they scored 2 goals in 5 games, and Furia scores 11. So, I mean, the offense wasn't quite there for Twisted Minds, but again, this is a roster that's been together for 3-4 weeks now. So I will be intrigued to see how they can, continue to come together and perform better as time goes on. But I mean, I would say that this is an interesting, like sneak peek to some next season matchups potentially, because Furia, certainly don't show any signs of slowing down as being the SAM 1 seed. Twisted Minds certainly appears to be the favorites to be the MENA 2 seed moving forward, especially after adding Nuepo, like you mentioned. So this is a kind of a cool glimpse into what might be for next season, especially because in this one, Twisted Minds is gotta get that crowd buff, being at home. So I mean, it certainly seemed to be a pro Falcons crowd, but I'm sure that the crowd was nice and favorable towards Twisted Minds in this one.
Absolutely. And that brings us, obviously, after group stage comes playoffs, which there were some unexpected results. Our playoff results are as follows. For some first ones we'll talk about. So, the playoff bracket, if I can get this pulled up here and load, played out like this for the bracket. We had Space Station versus BES, Vitality versus Gen G, Falcons versus Furia, and G2 Stride versus Chiefs Esports. Now, it was a quick quarterfinals. only one series didn't have a full sweep. That series being Space Station versus BDS. But some of the results may shock you. KQ, you want to take us through some of those results?
Yeah, so we have BDS taking down Space Station 4-2. We have Gen G sweeping Vitality. We have Falcons sweeping Furia, and we have G2 sweeping Chiefs. So I'll get BDS over Space Station. That seems about right based on the way that they were playing. It was a good series. I thought Space Station played it very well. They continue to they continue to trend upwards in my eyes. I don't know if they will do enough to crack more than the top 8, but they looked good. G2 over Chiefs, that was kind of expected. Falcons over Furia, in my opinion, kind of expected, with Falcons being, potentially one of the top 4 teams in the world. But we come to the series that was the most surprising for me, and that's Gen G sweeping Vitality.
Yeah, the result of that sweep, we had a game 1 OT, Gen G winning 4-3, then 1-0, 1-0, and 3-2. So all 1-goal games throughout the series. But Gen G coming out on top over the former world champs. How does this bode for Vitality going into Worlds? How does this bode for Gen G going into Worlds? I feel, that's a pretty good confident boost, if I do say so myself, knocking off the defending world champs.
I mean, it's certainly got to be a good momentum booster for Gen G, as they, first killer looked effective. The team kind of seemed to gel for the first time in a little bit. Apparently, Jack, I thought, had a fantastic defensive series. Other than game 1 on a 4-3 being a really low scoring series, but for Vitality, it's quite frankly, it's a little bit back to the drawing board, right? Because they looked good in groups. They take down Twisted Minds and they take down Furia, and then they failed to make an impression against Gen G. So, luckily for them, I'm sure they're headed over to North America to boot camp if they're not here already. But they'll have a lot to figure out headed into the World Championships if they want to make a similar impression as they did here.
Absolutely. And as we said, rest results, although sweeps, not the most shocking of results, kind of expected for those teams to come out. Moving on to our semifinals matchups, we had BDS versus Gen G and Team Falcons versus G2 Stride. Now, here's where things definitely get interesting. Our results there, BDS win 4-2 over Gen G. And Team Falcons knock off the version of G2 Stride with NOS 4-1, meaning it would be a BDS versus Team Falcons final. What are your thoughts on those semifinals matchups?
I thought BDS looked fantastic. Both games that they lose to Gen G are both overtime games, so it could have been a clean sweep had, some bounces gone their way. But I thought they looked like the better team. I thought that they ramped up very well, especially when Sunday started. I thought Drawley looked lethal, and then Falcons. Remember, this is the beast modeless G2, so it's maybe the pressure got to Nas a little bit. First time on this big of a stage, but Falcons make quick work of G2. I really like BDS looked to be in championship form against Gen G, and I don't want to spoil anything for the grand finals, but that carried over.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, BDS, unfortunately, as me being a G2 fan, looked like the BDS that destroyed us in Worlds. So that's terrifying to see and hear going into Worlds in these next couple of weeks.
But the last 2 times you played BDS, G2 won.
Yes. But the last time we played BDS at Worlds, well, we try to forget that. But yeah, Falcons, I mean, taking off G2, is it just because Nas got nervous? Is it that Falcons looked better? It could go that conversation could go either way. But, it was shaping up to be a solid grand finals, or at least we thought. Going into the grand finals matchup, we had a BDS victory. Yes, that's right. You heard me. BDS knocking off Team Falcons 4-2. While the 4 games BDS win all 1-goal games, and the 2 games that BDS lost being a 1-goal game and a 5-goal difference game. BDS comes out with a win 4-2 to bring EU the World Cup trophy. I think it's got to be said at this point. We've Team Falcons, they can't finish.
No,
They make it to the grand finals. That's it. they turn out, they roll over, play dead, call it a day. Because my gosh, what's the opposite of the it factor? Because that's what Falcons got.
the them factor.
The them factor. Yeah. Team Falcons definitely have, not saying that a grand finals appearance multiple times in a row isn't bad, but you would like to win one of those eventually, right? So
Or look more competitive than they did.
yes. Albeit it wasn't, them getting pretty much almost swept by G2. They did take 2 games and look solid in one of those games, but yeah, definitely need some work from Team Falcons. Hopefully they have third time's the charm for them. Maybe we'll see. But congrats to BDS taking on the World Cup and definitely coming out as the unlikely victor. I would say not many probably predicted this BDS team to take it all away.
I certainly neither of us did.
Or wanted it.
Yeah, no.
Also true.
Yeah, no. None of us predicted this at all. But
No, I know my opinions on this. But obviously this G2 roster with Nas did pretty well. Better than some people thought, maybe not as well as others thought. I know my opinions on it. What are your guys' thoughts? Does this, regarding to Beast Mode, does this help his MVP kind of campaign that we have going on here, or does it hurt it?
I think it helps. I mean, it shows how valuable Beast Mode is not only to G2, but to their results, right? So you take Beast Mode away, you still have Daniel, you still have Atomic, so they're fantastic players, so they're able to make a top 4, but Beast Mode is the difference maker. He's the driver of the team. He's the person that is going to continue to push G2 forward when most people think that they can't be, pushed anymore. And so from that aspect, I think that it shows, it solidifies how important Beast Mode is to this G2 team.
I wanted so badly G2 to win so dominantly that they just replaced Beast Mode.
That would be crazy.
I knew it. I knew it wouldn't
that'd be
happen.
a wild thing to happen.
That would be so wacky.
Just the absolute anarchy, right? They win Esports World Cup with Nas, and then they have to drop Nas to compete in Worlds with Beast Mode.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't think anyone would let G2 live that down if they replace Beast Mode with Nas at this point.
yeah.
But it's kind of what I mean. There's been a couple times that's happened where it kind of turned out like, oh yeah, I guess they did know what they were doing.
It being better than the starter or something along those lines.
Something. What was it? Marked by 8?
Yeah, maybe they do know ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was unfamiliar with your game. But, I mean, BDS looked fantastic. I think that they're, at least in this event, right? And like we've said it before, and I'm sure we'll say it again, but BDS looked to be in championship form. Whether or not that translates to the World Championships, we'll never know. Monkey Moon seems to be a different player every day. Drali and Exotic certainly looked fantastic throughout the tournament, but, in that grand finals, Monkey Moon played extremely well. So, we've seen Monkey Moon playing really well. We've also seen Monkey Moon missing open nets, missing double taps, and just kind of self-destructing a little bit. So I think it kind of, unfortunately for BDS, depends on what kind of day Monkey Moon is having. They can go as far as Monkey Moon's mood and outlook will take them. At least that's what it seems like.
Yeah, I'd agree. That's what it seems like at the moment.
Okay, now comes we the time to check in on our predictions. Red, you had a top 4 of Gentlemates, Falcons, G2, BDS. You correctly predicted Falcons, G2, BDS, and you missed out on Gentlemates. You had the winner being Falcons. That was also incorrect, as it was BDS. And for my top 4, I had Falcons, Gentlemates, Vitality, and Space Station. And I missed on Gentlemates and Space Station, and I did not. I said Falcons was going to win, and they did not. So they might be the most unclutch team ever, so that's fine. I won't pick them again. We both believed in Gentlemates, and that did not happen. So, I don't think many people saw that coming. But I believed in Space Station a little bit more than I believed in BDS, but maybe that was a fool's errand. So all in all, pretty decent from us. So we continue our streak of generally decent predictions.
Yes. Oh, we are average, if we do say so ourselves with our predictions.
That's all you can ask for. That's the dream. But now is the time. That 16th World Championship spot has been solidified. The RL Esports official Twitter account tweeted, Rocket League World Championship update. We hereby confirm that the number 2 seed out of the MENA region, Team Anything, has forfeited their spot at the upcoming Rocket League World Championship. As the number 3 through 8 seeds in MENA are unable to field a roster for the event in the time remaining, another team has been invited to ensure the tournament is played with 16 teams. As the EU region collects the most RLCS points at majors this season, we have invited the next best team outside of the top 4 from that region's leaderboard to the upcoming event in Fort Worth, Texas. We welcome Joyo, Oski, Archie, and Team Oxygen as the 16th team to complete our lineup.
Wow.
Yep, I was wrong.
I don't usually get to say this, but I am glad you were wrong, AJ.
Yeah, that's fair. I am too.
Because I honestly, my opinion, the best decision they could have made. Now, NA bias in me, wish it would have been RMC, but for competitive sake and for the fact that it isn't just going to be a blank spot on the Swiss stage, fantastic decision by Rocket League. I am so excited for it. I do also love the implications of there's now more pressure on EU to perform because they have one extra team than any other region. So curious to see how that affects some teams. I could definitely hear some conversations occurring if EU starts to falter, and hear the you guys had an extra team but still couldn't do it. So I'm looking forward to
SSA.
SSA is Limitless.
Okay.
Limitless from APAC is Gaming Gladiators, from OCE is Pioneers and Power. From North America is OG, Space Station, Gen G, G2. From MENA is Falcons. From SAM is Furia, Team Secret. And from EU is Gentlemates, BDS, Vitality, Carmine Corp, and Oxygen.
Is it all teams representing their actual regions?
It is.
Yes.
Nice.
No,
well, apart from the MENA 2 or whatever.
No, Gladiators.
Oh, where's Gladiators from?
Well, they're APAC, but Gladiators is Maxiu, Virtuoso, and Though. So 3 EU players.
Oh, that's
okay.
right.
That's what I was thinking.
But
gotcha.
Maxiu and Virtuoso do live there. So, like, Invert has competed in APAC for, this is his 3rd season now. So,
right.
like, at this point, like, he moved there.
I'd count it.
I would, too. The only, like, import that they kind of have is Though.
Sure.
But for them, 2/3 of the team is, at least 2/3 of the team from every team is representing the region.
Good.
The only two teams that aren't is apparently Jack with Gen G, and Though with Gladiators.
Sure.
But, so, first off, how do you guys feel about the way they decided on bringing the EU 5th seed instead of Reddle's Magic Cheese?
I like it. I'm glad that they gave the reasoning. Because I think if they would have just made a decision without like explicitly stating here's reasons X, Y, Z why we chose this team, there could have been an uproar. But the fact that they explained the thought process, that it's based off of what region had earned the most points throughout the season, like that all makes sense. And for how little time they had left to decide that, I think it was a great great option.
Yeah, for sure. I like the transparency. I like the I want to say promptness of the tweet, but like hear me out. Like we heard rumblings that anything was going to forfeit their spot. We saw it on Twitter from Ahmad that he was not coming out of retirement. We kind of knew that, like from Crespor and some other people, that a MENA team would not be able to compete just because of time restrictions, because of visas, because they all made roster moves. So maybe this is like a lesson in the future, like, hey, don't make roster moves until after the World Championships have started. But moving forward from that, I think that it was really only going to be an EU or NA team that was going to make it just because of visa restrictions. So I think that they did a good job, explaining what happened and confirming the team like in a timely manner. I'm sure that this couldn't have been a quick turnaround because like they got to book flights, they got to book everything for Joyo, Oski, Archie, maybe Oxygen. We'll talk about that here in a second, but they had to book everything for them. They had to figure out matchups moving forward. So like for round one matchups of Swiss, we have Team BDS versus Oxygen in round one, which is something that would not have happened otherwise. So, we shall see what kind of chaos that creates for either Oxygen or for BDS being there. But, I'm happy with the outcome. I'm happy with the way that they announced it. I'm happy with how quickly it was announced, and I'm even happier that we're not going to have a blank spot in the Swiss bracket, that they're going to be 16 teams.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
If they're not going to give us wild card, they at least better give us 16 teams.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we do have to bring up, I do believe, from all sources, from Sports Illustrated, from Dextero, from everything that I've seen, Oxygen has ceased operations. They've stopped. They've either paid severance or laid off their staff. They've released their teams, Boston Breach, among them. They've lost access to the facilities and to their team paid for apartments. So notably in this tweet, they RL Esports tags OXG Rocket League. It's the official home of Oxygen Esports Rocket League. It's not the official Oxygen account. It is affiliated to Oxygen through the Twitter affiliation process, and most Oxygen Esports main Twitter account is still active, so there's no reason for this one to not be. So I would imagine that Joyo, Oski, Archie are competing under the Oxygen banner. Liquipedia has, the Oxygen emblem on there, and, the team name is Oxygen Esports. However, I'm not sure if that will continue to happen. I'm not sure if there's something in their contract that, requires them to help pay for, their World Championship spot or what have you. But this is certainly an interesting turn of events, is the tweet tagged the individual players and not Oxygen Esports themselves.
I mean, they didn't have to pay for rent. They can pay for their plane tickets.
Yeah, that's kind of my thinking. Well, Psyonix pays for the plane tickets for the teams that are going.
Oh, well, there you go. What's the issues?
Well, I'm just intrigued because if Oxygen's not paying them and they're not a thing anymore, you're giving them free advertising because you're competing under Oxygen. You know what I mean?
The players have the spots, not the org, right?
Yes.
So they don't have to.
I don't think so either, but I think that they are, at least on Liquipedia, at least on Twitter. That's what I've seen. So I'm not.
I mean,
I'm just intrigued to see what happens.
At this point, I feel like there's no reason they wouldn't, because that's how they're known. But it's also not a bad opportunity to say, hey, we're at the World Championships. We're not represented by a team right now. Get your team name at the World Championships right now and pick us up. That would definitely benefit them more.
I mean, if you think about it, right? So I don't know how it would work, but if you're Luminosity, right, and Red Rose Magic Cheese is not going to go to Worlds, they're not going to get that extra spot, and you see Oxygen Esports sitting there, you think, hey, how would you boys like to sign a 2-month, 3-month contract with Luminosity and compete under the Luminosity branding? I completely pulled that out of thin air. That's not going to happen. But an org like that,
but it could.
A Cloud9, for instance, a Rule 1, if they decided to come back, which I don't think that they are, and I haven't heard anything about that. So,
Moist?
Exactly, something like that. Like picking up a team just for the World Championships. Like they seem to be available because from all accounts, Oxygen is not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see. I'm interested to see what happens with that whole saga, and I don't fully know what is going to happen with that. I would imagine the most boring answer is correct, and that they're just going to compete under Oxygen, even though Oxygen is not really like their org anymore. But what are you going to do? But was there anything else that you guys wanted to add about the Esports World Cup, about the 16th world spot, or anything else, any other things RLCS related before we jump into overtime?
I don't think so. I think I'm good here.
Okay. So now it's time for overtime, where we answer questions from you guys, the viewers, either on Twitter, in our Discord, or any other way that you get in contact with us on social media. The first question of that coming from @uncle_che on Twitter. What is your favorite flavor of Pop-Tart?
Oh, okay. Maybe controversial, maybe not. Brown sugar cinnamon. Gotta go with the classic.
That's not controversial at all.
Oh,
I've
Like one of the
gotten,
most. I think it's the most popular one.
I don't know. I've gotten some gripes about it from people that like, that they're the strawberry Pop Tarts or like the OG like flavor Pop Tarts. But I just, you can't go wrong with a brown sugar cinnamon Pop Tart.
okay.
You can't. That's a good one.
So
but you're wrong. So there's
Okay.
that.
All right.
So what's the answer?
S'mores.
Oh, okay. Yeah. S'mores is good. I'll give you that.
Brown sugar cinnamon goes real hard though.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely second for me.
It must be noted that Sasuke said the correct answer is wild berry. I will not be open to discussion. So I don't know that I've ever even had a wild berry Pop-Tart.
Are we gonna have to like buy every single flavor of Pop-Tart in Texas and do this?
Oh god.
We definitely should.
We could. I'm down.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm down.
Let's do it.
Okay, we can do it. And
All right.
hey, and
All right,
I'll,
Uncle Che.
I'll tag him. He will be at Worlds. We can do this with him.
Hey, let's do it with him. Hell yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So we're
Let's run
actually
it.
gonna we're gonna tweet back at him here, and we're gonna live on the show. We're tweeting back. So I don't know that I've ever had a wild berry Pop-Tart, if I'm being honest. I'm also a basic
don't know that I
bitch
have
in terms
either.
of Pop-Tart flavors, and strawberry is my favorite.
Unfrosted strawberry. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Not unfrosted.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I also just really like strawberry things. Like most strawberry things are my favorite.
Dude, me too.
But
Yeah,
that's
so good.
where we're at with that. Okay. Our second question comes from Valk on Twitter. When will Valk learn to type fluently?
I don't know. We'll have to get him on Type Racer and see how fast he can go.
However, it must be noted that the tweet response to our overtime thread was typed fluently. So it's certainly a fantastic start.
Well, it ended with no errors.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
We will never know how long it actually took him to type it. Maybe it was a couple of minutes.
20 minutes to type that. Who
Or maybe
knows?
he's got Twitter Blue and he edited it. I don't. The world may never know. Love you, Val. Type better. And the last question we have is from Sean Ship on Twitter. What is your dream car? And I think-
Anything
Gosh.
that can drive itself and has a minimum of 500-mile range. I don't want to pay attention while I drive. Don't make me pay attention.
Fair enough.
But I don't want to drive. Is my point.
Okay, hold on.
If I could teleport, that'd be great.
Let me amend this question too. So we'll continue to do your what's your dream car, but then I will add a second question. If you could have a car from Rocket League in real life, what car would that be? And I'm not no.
Battle bus.
Okay, I was gonna that. Okay,
A car from Rocket League and
Titanium white battle bus.
and I'm not talking you can't. You're not picking the Batmobile. You're not picking the BMW or the Lamborghini. Cop. I'm talking about like like a car that is only available in Rocket League or online.
Oh gosh.
Like none of the sponsored ones.
Ooh, that is tough. Trying to think here.
So either do that one or Dream Car first.
Okay. Dream car first. I'm kind of along the same lines of AJ. Give me a very reliable self-driving vehicle that's like good mileage, and I'm for it. But otherwise, Rocket League car that I would want as an actual car. Oh, there's part of me that would think the aftershock would be cool because I mean it's essentially a jet car. So I mean take that bad boy on the road, put it in the air. Who cares?
Fair. Okay. Well, dream car for me, I gotta go Ford GT. I just think they look really cool. I would never buy one because it's super impractical, especially in the Midwest, to ever have any fancy car because it snows a shitload here. But I just think they look really cool. And I think having a Dominus would be really cool.
Adonis, yeah.
I think they look nice. It's like classic American muscle car.
If you're going for like normal car, Adonis would be good. I'm a bit honestly the
No.
Fennec,
How could I do it? The
too.
fast 4-wheel drive. The fast forward, the Hot Wheels car.
But the Hot Wheels car.
I changed my answer to that actually.
Fair enough.
But anything else you guys have to add in overtime before we wrap up for today?
Are we gonna do toasted and untoasted?
Well, I mean, there's 2 Pop-Tarts in every package. Is there not?
That's a good point.
And
I guess it kind of depends on if we have a toaster or not, huh?
that's also a fair point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I just,
I'm
safe
sure
to assume we will, but
I'm sure there'll be a toaster. If not, we can go buy some cheapo like $20 toaster.
Yeah.
It's a fair point. Okay.
Cool.
Well, be on the lookout for some potential content with Pop-Tarts at Worlds. Maybe some collaborations with some people, maybe not. We will find out. But with that, we'd like to thank you guys so much for listening. We'd like to remind you to please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, join our Discord, and rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, as it really helps us out. Check out our Twitch, our TikTok, and our merch store. New items have been added. Again, all of these links and more can be found on our website at boostoverball.com. Make sure to come find us at the World Championships. I'll keep saying this. We got some limited edition stickers. And from us here on the show, as always, remember to choose Boost over Ball.
Thanks for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website at boostoverball.com.